come out. You are
Not
absolutely
just
correct,
popular.
Sundarin. Well, they are both the most popular, and right now they have the most DPC points, right? So
The thing,
there's
though, is
something
that
to it.
Nigma did not look good in the last tournament they played. They did not look good in ESL, right? Like, it wasn't just the placement they got, but their games just looked... They looked a bit disconnected and out of form compared to the Major, where, you know, if you go into the tournament with that in your mind, you might think a team like Tundra could even be favored against Nigma, which we will obviously see further down the line.
No, I think there is the aspect, and the panel kind of talked about that Nigma were kind of figured out towards the later ends of the Major, and at ESL they just played the same. I mean, they're basically playing the same thing here. So, I mean, obviously there hasn't been any kind of a patch. So, I guess I don't. Were you? That's actually a good question. Were you expecting anything different coming from them? Are they just waiting for the patch to come before they make these major tweaks going into TI?
I mean, I think a lot of the stuff that Nigma plays and played at the Major are just really good heroes in the patch. So, if anything, I think small adjustments are enough. Like, swap out 1 or 2 heroes in, like, your active arsenal, and then you have, like, a... Like, if you have, like, some sort of cheeky last pick that you've theorized could be good, then maybe that. But outside of that, like, in ESL as well, I don't think the biggest problem necessarily was strategy. I just think they got, like, outplayed more so than having poor strategy, so... Also about, you know, just being informed and being on the same page. Speaking of strategy, like the panel was pointing out, this looked like a really good Ursa game, by the way, for the Smashers, and I really wonder what made them end up on the PL, if it's more of like a macro understanding of the game right now that a hero like Ursa can't win this late game or can't like build enough of an advantage. Because he had some amazing matchups. Ursa's very good against Tide, very good against Phoenix. In my opinion, very good against Gyro as well. So it was only really Miracle's TA that you were worried about, where you took the opposite approach here, where you took the PL that's good against the TA, but not so good against the Tide or the Phoenix. So maybe showing a lot of respect to the TA pick in general and feel like you have to have a solution.
I want to say, at the Major, from the games that we cast at least, the PL looked as Ace is going to get pressured completely out here. Looks like he'll survive the engagement, though, early on, between the Kuroki and Mind Control combo, but PL looked, I don't know if you feel the same way, felt a bit underwhelming once you got to like the late game timing. It's just, it feels like you need this semi-care, which maybe, you know, Bora on the Lina can be that hero, but PL just doesn't feel like this hero you can just bank everything on.
I think the hero just felt overwhelming in general, not just in the late game. There were a couple of games that we saw where he did very well when he was picked under very good conditions and there was a very good like cast and plan around him. I don't know how much I like Hellbear Smasher's lineup as a PL lineup. Like, usually what PL wants is his other heroes either having, like, I would say very good ability to single target out people so that PL can go on something else. And what you're primarily sitting with, I guess the Hoodwink could be kind of cool for that, but you're kind of relying largely on an axe call to start a fight, and then PL will try to go on something else. Because this hero thrives in chaos, right? And I think that's part of the reason he looked weak at the Major, was that a lot of the teams had this like very structured team fight that the hero isn't so good against.
Bot lane,
Tofu is in trouble bottom here.
Yep, Cold embraces himself for now. Kuro does have a couple fire spirits left, and yeah, with the right click from Mind Control, nope, not going to quite tick out. Now Mind Control kind of on the run, and as we see this action, I want to scroll just a little bit higher. Oh, they actually got rid of it. No, there's this, I've never seen this spray paint before. You'll see it. I don't know who it is, but it's of a person yawning, and that might be the best spray paint in the entire game. So we'll just have to you have to wait with bated breath here until that comes about again, Cinder. Maybe we can ask the players to pop it on the floor one more time.
So they don't kill Tofu there, but they do force out the Cold Embrace skill point on level 2, which means that the aggressive potential of Smashers in the safe lane is basically non-existent. I don't think you really wanted to try to play aggressive here anyway. You're playing against Tide Phoenix with a PL. PL does like negligible damage to Tide already, so what's your Wyvern really going to do? So you're just trying to sustain and farm, so it's kind of par for the course here. And it kind of goes both ways. Like, it looked like maybe there was a potential kill on the Wyvern there for Nigma, but it's still at Fairy Fire, and obviously Phoenix's damage is not too interesting until level 3 and especially level 5 with the Fire Spirit points. So I think we're just going to have a farm lane down here for the most part. Mid lane, Boranya versus Miracle is a pretty even lane. Lina against TA. I think, go back a couple years, TA wins this matchup pretty hard, but Lina has some more things going her way now than back then. And then in that top lane, I think Io Gyro is a good lane against Axe.
Ooh. All right, a courier was just fed to Rasmus here, aka Misery. He's going to chase down GH a bit. Forgot to mention this, of course. This is, I think, the first time I've ever cast Misery since the DC days. So I'm actually pretty excited about this. As there's another courier, potentially with his name on it, but GH going to micro that to make sure they don't feed a second one to Mr. Rasmus himself. I don't know why he changed his name. I need to... You know, that's going to be my research for the next game, which he'll probably not answer me, but I'm going to figure out why he changed his name from Misery.
Maybe he felt like every time in the game, like he just had too many negative connotations when he looked at his screen.
That could be,
He wanted a more optimistic and positive name for his team. With
He
happy
did have a
names
reputation.
such as Tofu and Ace. You need
I mean,
to match
Tofu
that.
is the most neutral name possible, right? It's tasteless. You're supposed to add everything to it to make it taste anything good. But
Oh, that was a controversial opinion right there.
really, I thought that was the entire point of it. Okay, well, we can have a discussion
Tofu
another
is
time.
tasteless.
By itself, yeah. The whole idea is to add stuff to it. But anyway, back to the game, sir. This is the TI qualifiers, for God's sake. Get your head back inside the game, good sir. We have
I'm in the
ILTW, of course, on this gyrocopter, 22-7 versus the PL, who's 27-3. So neither are farming that great. As you can see, Rocket Barrage on the Mr. Rasmus. But you can see Gil here. A little bit damage from the sideline. It's a hero we have yet to talk about because he's been in basically every single game, this Hoodwink. I know you hated him at first, but her, I should say. Have your thoughts changed over the course of the past few weeks?
They actually have. So at the major, when I was talking about Hoodwink, I wouldn't say I was a hater. I just felt like the hero had a lot of conditionals that needed to be met in order to perform well. Like a couple of heroes in the meta really made it hard for Hoodwink to thrive, like
Misery's dead.
or... Oh, all right. They do get the kill.
That's first blood for Nigma. Go ahead, Senator. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I think Hoodwink needed a lot of... It felt like Hoodwink needed a lot of conditionals met, but after just seeing it and playing it more, I'm kind of getting to a point now where I think the hero's a bit more independent than I give it credit for. It's somewhat... Against a lot of combinations where it would be hard, I think if you play around it in a smart way, you can set things up, and the tempo of the game really seems to favor a skill like Bushwhack Kite a lot. There's a lot of fighting around tree lines in the early mid-game in many of these games where Hoodwink can do a lot of impact. Usually when the hero starts falling off is when teams start getting like BKBs or like just get too tanky or get a lot of mobility items, so it gets harder to hit your spells. But in the position that Smashers picked it, I kind of like it. Like when you pick it later into the draft, when you see that the enemy team, okay, they're not playing like 3 heroes that have insane mobility. They're very much grounded, right? Like what did you see at the time? You saw Phoenix, TA, and Io, I think, when you picked that Hoodwink. None of these heroes with like insane mobility, so you have a good chance of landing your spells and not relying too much on teammates to set
It does feel like one of those vanilla picks as well. You know, he's just... I mean, I will say this, Cinder. I know you're going to disagree, but this is one of the heroes that NA has introduced to the world. It's basically the only region to play this hero for the longest time. And we saw at the major with...
Maybe that's why it wasn't picked so much at the major.
Yeah, that's why you didn't believe in it, because NA were the team. I mean, you're like, NA's garbage, so anything they pick is probably
Yeah, you were really good.
Hey, they happen to be right about one thing, all right? So
that's true.
We can at least put that to our name. But we haven't really talked about the lineups overall. So as my control's getting pressured out of bot lane for now. We'll be okay, though. Do you favor one team or the other, not including skill? Because obviously coming into this, Team Nigma, like you talked about, the #1 seed for all intents and purposes, so they will be the team to beat.
I don't know. So one thing I'm not so big a fan of with Nigma's lineup is what the panel pointed out, that they have like no catch, no reliable way of setting up fights. They just have that Ravage. And when we get out of the laning stage and skirmishes start happening, you're very much reliant on Ravage to get stuff done. But when you get later in the game, you can kind of itemize your way out of it, right? By just having overwhelming items or buying stuns, or maybe be able to outlast, so you get a guaranteed good Ravage because your cores are tanky enough with the Io Phoenix backing them up that it just takes too long. Borania will be forced to TP away here from the room. Good.
Can you pronounce that name again for me, please?
Okay, so I actually don't know. So I call him Boranya, and some call him Borania, and the panel call him Bora Ninja, which is definitely wrong because that letter isn't even in his name. So I'll say they're wrong, but beyond that, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm just going to call him Bora. It's just half of his name, so it can't be technically
yeah,
incorrect.
Let's call him Bora. That's good.
So Nigma, they see this stack here. The question is, can they do enough to pressure here? Is Rasmus, right, he's going to be found out, is level 6 right now. The trap does slow. Homing missile on the way. Bushwhack does connect onto 2, but Rasmus able to get off his Berserker Call, so will be tanky as a result. But the call down is there with the reinforcements on the way as well. Finally, Nigma are able to take him out, but will it cost him anything? Look at all the rotations here from Hellbear Smashers. GH will not be able to TP out. LSA was there. So it ends up being a 1-for-1, but the real question is, where does the stack go? Because they can't take it without the axe.
Yeah, they're just going to hold the area, and Axe is going to go there as soon as he spawns and try again. X with Vanguard can do this on his own. Yeah, you can be cute and cold embrace him with Wyvern. Kyle's primary contribution to Pro Dota history. But they don't need to do that here. X can do it on his own, no problem. So, yeah, I feel like I didn't really answer your question about who my favorite is going late.
You never do. I just want to... Hold on. I hope people out there that are listening / watching just understand that you don't answer any questions. Period.
Ever.
Yes, ever.
Okay, so if Nigma get through at what could be a turbulent mid game, I do favor their strategy in the end. Because I think both TA and Gyro in this game are going to be overwhelmingly farmed, and I always like Phoenix late game as a support. Yes, you're playing into Lina, but it's literally the only very big problem you have for your egg. Because PL can't go for the Supernova when he's just going to get ravaged, right? So if you set it up nicely with, let's say, TA starting the fight with either... I don't know if Miracle's going to go for a Scythe in this game to lock people down, or a Nullifier or whatever to just, like, start the fight. And then Phoenix follows through. It's very difficult for Hellbear Smashers to go in and deal with that Supernova. And Tide will get a refresher late games, you have 2 Ravages, etc, etc. So, very late. I like Nigma. In theory, in the next 10 minutes, I like Smashers, but I haven't really seen them take much initiative right now. They're kind of just letting both the Gyro and the TA farm to their heart's content, and that's generally not a good look. These 2 heroes just farm faster than anything you have. Like, you're not going to keep up with your PL and your Axe to this when the Axe is played offlane.
I'm going to ask you a bit of a... I don't know what kind of question you want to even describe this as. It's a bit of a hot take. Do you think Gyro is a good hero without IO currently? As we can see, Bushwhack, we got to hold the horses there, Mr. Sinrin. Yeah, Sharpshooter's there, but Rasmus not able to do much as there was a relocate. But it's actually a baby relocate. They want to go back in here. Kuroki does have egg as well. Kind of posture, but doesn't look like a fight will actually commence from this. So go ahead with your amazing opinion that you won't answer.
Nice deny bottom by Tofa there on the Wyvern, by the way. Denying the tower from Tide. So... yeah, I actually do think Gyro can be a good hero without IO. I don't think it's as much of a requirement as it felt like, I want to say, a month or 2 ago, where it was literally only played together.
Yeah.
But if you do pick Gyro without the IO, I think it needs to be a very late pick in the draft, because there's like specific pitfalls for this hero where it can be difficult, like some matchups where people come up too close and are too strong against you. A lot of the like very mobile heroes can kite you and make your life miserable because your spells don't land. Since so much of your damage in the early mid game is about the rocket barrage as well as the call down until you get farmed enough that Flak Cannon becomes your main source. A lot of heroes can deal with you very well, but when it gets picked late, like let's say last pick or second to last,
LPW might be in some trouble. GH does have his relocate, and you can see just like that with the Bushwhack setup, Hellbear Smashers absolutely decimate him. So probably will turn this into a tier 1 as well, as Bora's rotated here, in addition to basically everybody from Hellbear Smashers.
I don't think you can hold this tower. Like, I get what Mind Control's intent is. This is something you want to do with these like tanky offlaners like Tide, is you want to TP in and defend your safe lane tower. Same logic for Timbersaw, but like your carry just died, he doesn't have buyback, and the tower is on 20%. So I think that TP... He might complete it anyway, just so he can sit up here and take the follow-up farm that comes and push out the wave again. But that tower was definitely dead on arrival as soon as LTW died. That is a goner. And nice from Hellbears here, right? Like, they take some initiative. It's been a relatively quiet game. They kill the carry, they take a tier 1. I think you want to keep rolling. You have a peel with this early diffusal timing. Hoodwink has level 7, which is a very strong spike for the hero. When you have your ulti and 4 points in Bushwhack, you're very, very powerful. Axe is going to get his dagger and 20 gold. So all things are coming together here. I would really like to see Smashers try more invasive maneuvers, especially if they can play away from the Tide. That's like the one centerpiece that Nigma have to kind of glue their lineup together in teamfights right now. Forcing that guy to TP top could have even given them a smoke toward the other side of the map, but they chose to fall back to farm this dagger first.
Yeah, like you said, Ace does have the Diffusal Blade. We have Bora on the Lina, has the Boots of Travel going into Yules. You saw the Maelstrom already picked up by LTW, obviously going for the Aghanim Scepter thereafter. I mean, once he gets that, it feels like his farm just takes on another level where there's almost no other heroes that can really catch up outside of like a Luna type hero. I mean, even the TA on your team won't be able to keep up with that at some point in the game. By the way, now that we have a small break, I have a little bit of not a complaint, but why has nobody talked about how the health bars at the top have changed colors? Is that just me that notices this?
What has changed?
The last patch?
Is it a different green hue and a different red hue? Or?
Yeah, they're both darker. Is that just my computer?
That's true, actually. That is
Why
true.
has nobody complained? It's really been bothering me.
But is that only when you're spectating or also when you're playing?
When I'm playing as well. Okay? Just a PSA out there. Nobody has brought that. I feel like I'm literally crazy that I'm the only one that has noticed this, but it's really
When did that
bothering
happen? In a patch like a day ago or something?
No, it was the Nemesis patch, I believe.
Oh. I think people didn't notice it because they were lagging all the time, so they couldn't really focus on other things.
Well, they're still lagging, I guess. I don't know
right.
what the deal with that is. Yeah, that
trying to control their heroes.
Ooh.
Yeah, they're focusing on improving their performance rather than looking at the top of the screen.
Yeah, it's just
mid tower is gonna be attacked here. I like this from Smashers. No siege creep yet though, so I think a better timing would have probably been next wave. But it's the right idea to not just sit back and farm and do nothing. Relatively quiet game though. 4 kills at 15 minutes is very slow in this patch. And I think Nigma are happy with it, so you're not... You know, there's like this fine balance in the game between doing what you want to do and doing what the enemy team doesn't want you to do. They're not always the same thing. Does that make sense? Like sometimes your lineup really wants to farm, but because the enemy team wants to farm even more than you do, it can be better to play aggressive. Like, the reason I say this is that a lot of the time PL lineups are happy to just do this, right? Just sit back and farm. Oh, PL's free farming, that's great, but the lineup you're playing against probably thrives more from that playstyle than your PL draft, even though you last picked it. So I kind of feel like there's a little bit of... There should be a feeling of urgency to get something done for Smashers here. Even though their lineup, in theory, would be happy to farm. It's just...
Yeah, we talked about it. Gyro and TA are basically going to out-farm you no matter what at this stage. I mean, right now,
it's
Miracle...
Still even. Like, it's just a 1k lead, but it's kind of the writing on the wall that key items are coming up.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, now that the Ags is... Actually, did he change up his build? Is he going BKB on ILTW? I think something's being delivered right now. We'll see what that is. But Miracle did get his Desolator right now. Okay, so ends up changing his... So it looks like they want to fight with this Desolator on Miracle. That's kind of the timing.
Yeah.
As you can see that they are scouted out here
in this game will be BKBs, right? You pretty much... You negate a lot of the Lina. You negate basically all of Hoodwink. At least for Hellbear Smashers, they do have 2 BKB piercing abilities in the Call as well as the Winter's Curse. So it's not nothing. But even against a hero like Phantom Lancer, BKB can actually be very good because you remove the diffusal aspect of the hero, which can help you in a lot of core matchups especially. So I think, you know, ILTW getting his BKB and maybe Miracle after Blink will get another BKB. Tide got his dagger. It's still just very calm with Smashers. I feel like having this timing right now that isn't really getting used. They got an Axe Blink, have yet to use it. Lina has her Yules, has yet to use it.
I mean, this is a situation. I know it's an offlane act. This is like, if you knew this was going to happen, you probably would have just went straight for Manta, I assume, and not gotten the Blink yet. But it is 17 minutes. You can't get that shard quite yet, so they are going to smoke, and we'll see if they can find a kill as a result of this. I think this is feel like the first team smoke of the entire game here. But like we talked about,
I think Smashers are just frustrated. It feels like they're not able to push out the waves as much as they would like to make these smokes good. And at this point, they're going to do one where both their bottom and top wave are kind of halfway across the map for the other team. So it's not like a very advantageous position. And now they're going to move in. They're going to place an Ops, which is uncovered. They do know there's a ward from Nigma, though. Oh, LTW would be a big pick here.
This would be a huge kill. Hoodwink gets off the stun. Beautiful Laguna Blade. That is enough to delete ILTW. And the big thing about that is he was 200 gold away from finishing his BKB. So now he's 400. That is a big timing opening here for Hellbear Smashers. We'll see if they can take the tier 1 in addition here. But Mind Control is a bit... He is here with the Blink Ravage. They really want to go for this. It is 4v5.
A lot of damage on that Lina double damage here.
Fortification is popped. But looks like the tower will fall, and Nigma just going to chill for now. Let's wait for ILTW to come back up.
Really
Didn't
nice
mention,
Smashers.
Hoodwink did get the Ironwood Tree neutral, by the way. Maybe I want to say the second best hero to be able to get this behind Timbersaw. Although it's not as good a Timbersaw as it used to be. Basically, just plant the tree, and then you can bushwhack first and then tree after.
Yeah,
Almost like an
800
invisible
cast
stun.
range and it's pretty much instant placement. So
Yeah.
it is very good on Hoodwink for sure. It gives you it basically gives you in a way half a spell because you don't need to rely on the travel time of Acorn Shot anymore, which is a big part of the weakness of that spell. Is that it's very telegraphed and it does take some time to land. And it can be quelling, right? But if you throw the net and then place the tree as the net is landing, no hero can quelling blade that in time. So
I'm sure there's some people with reaction time, Synderen, or scripting, but of course nobody's going to be doing that in this lobby, at the very least. These are TI level players, especially at the likes of Misery. Second place. I don't know if you knew that, Synderen. Very good player back in the day.
Very good player.
Hoping for a resurgence from him in particular. It's cool to see him in the off lane, though. Definitely not a position that, you know, back in the day he would play position 5 and 4. Pretty much that's it. And then recently, I'm not sure how recently it was. Maybe I have to talk to T-Gov about this since he's been in the know with him, but...
He won a major as offlane.
How recently?
Oh, that's quite a while ago. That was in Shanghai in 2016.
Yeah, this was he on, was it on Secret, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Played offlane.
That was with Weehaw. Or was that EE? Or maybe all of them were on a team.
EE... Was it... Who were the supports? It was Puppy... Was it Puppy Pylai?
I think I was going to say Pylai Die, probably. Yeah.
Puppy Pylai? Yeah, it was Pylai. I remember.
Secret had some crazy 5-man rosters, man, I have to say. All right, we have a mech picked up for Mr. GH. And, of course, ILTW did finish that BKB. Looks like Gil's going to... Well, he's going to use his ult to try to get to the other side, but yeah, he's going to be found it pretty easily. That's going to be a freebie for Nigma, and they're just going to go into Roche.
Question he does have buyback on the Hoodwink, and they have all spells except the Sharpshooter, so he's going to buy back, and Nigma doing this specifically to force that buyback and immediately get the hell out of there. Very experienced. They know this was what they were trying to do.
The smoke, too.
And smoke again.
And
if they find
Hoodwink, one of the few
again
heroes,
now, it's very big.
Hoodwink, one of the few heroes that can actually scout into Roche, so actually a pretty important hero to have alive right now. Ace, going to be found out, gets the bounty, but will run. ILTW just going to take the triangle for now. But you can see that Hellbear Smashers are kind of spread a bit. Rasmus towards the top of the screen now. See if he can close in and try to find a nice initiation.
As long as Nigma aren't killing Roche, I think this is fine from Hellbears. You know, you're paying some respect to the enemy team. Smoke, movement, you know they're smoked because Gyro broke on the PL. And you just push out the waves, buy some time, and Nigma eventually are going to just back off. They didn't really accomplish much with their 2 smokes. They got 1 support kill from 2 smokes. Who, in fairness, did buy back, but it wasn't that big of an expense. I think Hellbears, they're doing fine. They're 2k gold up. It's not a monumental lead, but after they found that kill on Gyro as well as the mid tower, I feel like the game has been in a good spot for them. Boranya will use a nice Yule TP out against that relocate.
No stuns.
Yeah, no stuns.
He needs to get level 25 to get that precious stun.
I feel like, you know, I talk about this a lot. I feel like playing lineups without stuns is just hard. And it doesn't, like, I'm not gonna, you know, say that Nigma's draft makes no sense and why the hell don't you pick stuns or whatever, but I think they might have had a different plan for their last pick. The DK ban obviously coming out, I think, was the hero they wanted. But that was clearly a good ban from the Smashers, but... Yeah, having only Ravage as a stun, you're just seeing situations where heroes can play the map differently on the enemy team, such as the Lina there. Like, if there's literally any stun there, that's just a dead Lina, but because Bora knows that that's not an option, he can push that extra wave that little bit further, or play that little more cocky in fights and get away with it. And
I think it's time for GH to get his shards. We can see initiation top lane. Rasmus gets off the nice berserker call. Sharpshooter into the Laguna Blade. Absolutely delete mind control. And looks like Hellbear Smashers will be able to get out just fine. LCW does get off the homing missile, but really to no avail here. Is Rasmus showing off his newly minted Manta style, working on a shard for himself. So we talked about how, yeah, he is mega farm for sure. He's as farmed as ILTW basically. That's not good news for Team Nigma. This is going to be a Roche now for Hellbear.
Yep, no tide, no buyback. they're actually just gonna lose this. I don't see a way Nigma can contest this at all, so I don't think they're even gonna bother. But maybe they are. Call down.
Call down is there. Kuroki is available with the egg. You can see the Sunray coming out. He actually popped his BKB as well. The homing missile coming. Lena's going to get to the high ground. Tofu and Ace trying to traverse to their side of the map as well as Miracle kind of get caught out though. LSA is there into the right click. This looks like it's doing more than enough damage to take him out. And it only cost him a Wyvern. Roche extremely low right now as the egg does finally pop for Kuroki. A lot of low heroes on the side of Hellbear Smashers. I feel like they have enough time to go heal and go back and get Roche.
Yeah, I was gonna say this is a good play from Nigma because they stop the Roche and they don't Ravage. So if they can hold the area until Miracle spawns, they might be able to grab the Roche themselves. I didn't think they were going to be able to or try to contest there, but I think the really key thing was Rasmus was tanking Roche and couldn't blink. So he wasn't able to connect on the net that Gilgar found on the gyro when he walked in, and he just BKB'd.
I feel like they could get it right now, though. This is the timing for Hellbear.
20 seconds. I like this a lot. Again, you're just forcing Nigma's hand. You know, there's no Supernova. 20 seconds on the TA. Are they going to buy back? Not yet.
Smoking. Yeah, they want to go in
Rasmus
again.
is outside the pit. I like this way more.
He pops the smoke beautifully, but there's the Ravage into the pit, but it looks like Ace is going to be able to get the Aegis in the end, but the Roshan actually goes to Nigma, and they're going to lose everybody. Gyro's dead, Io's dead, Kuroki on the high ground now, Rasmus just limping away. It's going to be a triple kill for Bora. Looks like Mind Control is next on the list. They only lose Rasmus. What a huge fight for Hellbear Smashers. Holy jeez. Ultra kill. Mr. Bora, who I can't pronounce your name, but you're playing very well, young man. Good job.
Nigma, they... Hello? Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I'm thinking. Hello, Nigma? If you... Okay, doesn't this just feel like one of those moments where, okay, if you're gonna double down on that Roche, you're gonna buy back your TA when you go for the Ravage? And the reason is TA has Blink, so if she TPs on the outpost, I think she can connect in time. Instead, you're kind of like... I'm not going to say they half-ass it, because it is a really big commitment to buy back the TA, but at the same time, I think if you believe in that fight, buying back the TA should probably get you the Aegis. And then that's, you know, if that's the outcome, that you pay a buyback to get that Aegis and the enemy team doesn't get it, that's pretty good, I would say. But going in as 4 there with the Ravage seems a bit optimistic under those circumstances.
Yeah, I believe the
we basically
Ravage
had 2 4-man fights on Roche in a row, right? Like, Nigma took 2 4v5s in a row there. The first one was without the TA, and the second one was... Or, sorry, the first one was without Gyro, right? And the second... First one was without...
TA
First one was without someone, second one was without someone else, okay? I have the memory of a goldfish, but I think it was tied first and the second fight was without the TA, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
I figured it out. It just took...
Well, did you figure out that the Ravage killed Roshan as well, Synderen? It was quite the highlight. And a very awkward 1 second period where the Aegis was on the ground.
Imagine Nigma don't get lucky. I mean, that's just pure luck, right? That the Ravage gets the kill. Then
wait, how much does that matter? How much gold and XP even is that even?
It's a decent chunk. I think this would be about a 1k bigger lead. Just, I mean, not flat, but instead of 3k, I would say 4k right now, and there would be a little bit more experience. Like, in the grand scheme of things, the Aegis is more important than the kill, obviously, but, you know, Smashers were set to get both, so at the very least, Nigma got something there with. Alright, there's TP's coming in top, they're very late on this.
Yeah, Ace already at half HP, he needs to be careful here. Tier 2 is already dead. You can see the illusions from Rasmus coming in. Homing missile to follow, but the Mind Control with another Ravage. This time it's going to be basically just on the Lina, who gets the Yules off, but the right clicks are going to be more than enough. Nope, going to get saved for now. The LSA is not going to connect, though, and will shortly find her way to the grave. BKB pop from Miracle now as the chase is on. Still buyback available, though, for Bora, if he wants to extend it here. Doppelganger's able to take off that homing missile. Tofu getting chased, though, in the meantime. Yeah, can't even get off the Cold Embrace in time. So a 2-for-0 along with the Tier 2 tower. Despite not having the Aegis, Nigma are not scared to fight.
That was so scuffed from Smash. Wait, hang on.
Rasmus jumps in, beautiful, into the hoodwink bushwhack. 2 huge kills, double kill for Rasmus, but Choppity Chop is there. And now the egg looks to be next, but it will get popped eventually. Doppelganger actually ends up dodging it a bit here as Ace. Looks like another bushwhack from Gil. Beautifully done from this hoodwink.
Rasmus finding that
so 3 big turnaround kills after a horrible fight for Hellbears.
I don't know what happened in that top fight. Like, I look at that fight and I just see Alina in the middle of everyone without BKB and on 500 health. Like, she popped BKB coming down from her own Yules, but how the hell did she get in that position to begin with? You look at the way this Radiant lineup is structured, right? You have a very clear-cut initiation plan with either Hoodwink or Axe, and Lina's just supposed to be long-range artillery. So I don't know how she found herself in the midst of all of that. Doesn't even have a dagger to get in with, so it couldn't have been that. But yeah, they get a couple of recovery kills off Erasmus there, that definitely helps. Oh, LCW, very defensive BKB. Scared of getting caught.
That is down to the lowest 6 seconds, and yet the call comes in with the Laguna Blade, so yet another kill for Hellbear. Man, I cannot say their name when I'm talking fast.
Hairbell.
Slow down like every time I say Team Nigma. Just have to use that, I guess. That strategy that I've picked up over the years. It looks like this tier 2 tower. Hellbears, the Radiant team versus the Dire.
The wave didn't reach. The wave actually didn't reach to break that back door, so yeah, good job from Miracle on the trap control. Relocate bot, they're going to push out down here, buy themselves some time.
Yeah, ILTW, we talked about, I mean, the fact that he's not even the top net worth is pretty crazy considering the amount of farm that he's able to get on this hero, but all the credit to Hellbears. They have definitely shown up here today with that 4K net worth lead now. Like we talked about, the relocate already used Bushwhack into the Sharpshooter. That's the break onto the Tide Hunter. No follow-up though. They're just posturing here as the Aegis is now expired.
Yep.
That's something we didn't really talk about, but obviously Sharpshooter against Tide, if you're able to connect it at the full duration, that is a pretty long break. It is dispellable, but not having Kraken Shell means that you can just burst this hero. I mean, that's one of the biggest reasons you pick Tide Hunter, is you basically get a guaranteed Ravage no matter what, just because of that dispel.
There's a couple of problems for Tide here, right? There's the Axe Call, which is undispellable, and then there's the Break, which he can dispel with Lotus, but then he needs to not be called at the same time. So there's like a very clear-cut plan for Smashers to actually just kill the Tide if they want, which is call into Hoodwink ult, and then just pile on him with Lina and he's gonna die. And that's big, because the only saves... Nigma do have both the Sunray and the Tether Burst heal with mech, but as we've seen earlier in the game, the damage from Smashers has been enough. So the question is, when do you push yourself over that limit where you don't die in the burst? That's when Nigma's lineup gets a lot better, is when they can reliably heal their cores with Sunray in these fights and they start getting longer. But so far so good for Smashers. When they do get the jumps, they convert it immediately into big kills. Bottom lane relocate. Nobody's here with Rasmus though. This could have been really good.
Yeah, they're just going to continue to do this. This is, it's not quite an IO Tiny from back in the day, but it's the best alternative these days, I suppose. Can't really take a full Rax, but I mean, he does have Agnum Scepter and will be getting Butterfly very shortly. So that is when he starts to do damage in fights. I mean, this is kind of like a farming build, right? He's doing damage in fights, but just takes on a whole new level once you get these Butterfly type items.
He still feels susceptible, though. Even with this, I still think he can die to a full-on combo from the Smasher. So I don't think you're safe as ILTW here. It helps you against the PL, of course, but like imagine you get Axe called with Hoodwink ult and Lina Burst. I don't know, man. I don't know if their heal's enough to keep him alive without having, say, Satanic or Scotty for the extra health. If he gets caught outside of BKB, I think he's killable.
And Miracle has the Butterfly coming online very shortly as well. His BKB is still at 8 seconds, so hasn't been popping it nilly-willy like ILTW has. Of course, ILTW has been kind of in the thick of things. As Ace on the PL has the Heart SNY combo along with the Diffuse that he had earlier. ILTW leading the charge now. Action onto Rasmus. He's going to get the call down, but he's going to get healed in the meantime as he gets stunned, so Lotus Orb applied as well. Bora's not really scared of anything. He's in the backline. Miracle just absolutely rampaging through Rasmus. It's going to be enough to take him out. Cold Embrace not there in time. Now the chase is onto Tofu as he's going to get off his ult for the time being, but the chase is on. Looks like Mind Control might be able to find... Nope. In the trees, Tofu's going to be able to get out, but ILTW is in a lot of trouble right now, getting surrounded by his teammates, so the egg for separation as well. It looks like Gil might fall on the backside. Ace needs to create a little bit of space thanks to this egg, as ILTW finally gets that last right click, so a 2 for nothing. After all of that, still a lot of damage on the ILTW, but no kills for Hellbears Smashers.
Really good play from Miracle in that fight. I don't think it's an obvious play that he can go and kill the Axe there, but he does pull it off just barely, and with Axe out of the picture, it's just easy. And you gotta think on smashes as well. Like Tofu, he has to be there for that cold embrace. He has blink dagger on the wyvern. It needs to save axe from the TA in time, and who knows if they could have turned that around. But a big play from Nigma. They get 2 kills, one of them on the axe, which is still a decent chunk of net worth that you managed to claw into. And Roshan has just spawned, and they have a trap there. That's the bigger prize. It's Roche number 2. That Nigma tailored this fight to take close to the respawn of this, and they get rewarded in a big way. I'm gonna go Aegis probably onto ILTW? Yes? No? Maybe? Yes.
Yeah, so we looked at a stat privately, right,
between
you and me, on the win rate of second Roche, just not in pro games, but all around game. It's like 80+%, which I guess shouldn't be that big of a surprise, because second Roche, and just in general, probably has a high win rate in, like, throughout history. But this one in particular just has an extra little something for sure.
Yep. Giving the shard to TA. We'll give the silence on Psionic Trap. So
waiting for that Ags.
It's a really big problem for Wyvern, actually, suddenly. If Wyvern is ever caught on a trap, he's dead. You just get silenced, or you kill someone else while Wyvern is silenced. It just gives this added layer of utility to Miracle to be really confident in finding key picks. And speaking of confidence, he's straight down to mid tier 2, pushing this really quickly with those very interesting shots, looking like something out of Star Trek.
Star Trek? I was thinking more Wizard
Actually,
of
World
Oz.
of Warcraft. Yeah.
It's more of a rainbow effect, if I do say so myself. Scotty now picked up by Ace, who's in the enemy jungle right now, but like you can see, Nigma are just taking all the outer towers. They've taken everything but the tier 2 bot, and they're just going to go into the tier 3 top. Ooh, okay, sharpshooter with the Laguna Blade.
Nice.
All right, Nigma, we're not aware of that combo, apparently. ISW has to pop his BKB, and it's just a retreat, but there's the Wyvern Curse applied to him. A little bit of damage done from TA as well. Boar Ninja gets up the LSA as well. Oh, the relocate onto the other side of the cliff. I thought he went back to base, but it's actually a little baby one yet again, so they're going to look to reinitiate potentially here. ISW already used the BKB and the Aegis. I feel like Hellbears are going to be very happy with this exchange.
Call down for what? Sorry, it's a reference to a song that you don't like because it's a good song. So
I actually laughed because I knew I wouldn't understand it, but I knew what it was generally from. You and I are just on the same page, even
do
when
you not like Lil
sense.
Jon, Suns fan?
I don't know who
Say
that is.
yeah, then you're saving yourself right now.
Wait, does he have blonde hair?
Okay.
Color blonde?
Let's move on with the game.
Okay.
Yeah, that was about as wrong as it could be, but that's okay.
There's a reason. Okay, I'm not going to get into it, but maybe it was Lil Wayne I saw recently. I get the Littles all mixed up. I'm not going to lie, because I don't really keep track of the
there's
the
a
music
lot of them.
the kids.
That's actually easy to mix up.
That's true.
Who started that trend anyway?
I don't know.
Why are you called Lil something?
I don't know. That's a great question for a Dota 2 cast.
Yeah,
We got Lena.
It really is.
Little Lena has the MKB to be able to get through the butterflies from both ILTW and Miracle, so that's a very good pickup. Is that something you ever go for on PL? I know it's not an item you want to, but are you forced to at some point, or are you just gonna rely on the illusions? Yeah.
Against double butter, I don't know. So I would say, PL is my worst win rate hero with over 25 games. I'm probably the wrong person to ask.
Great, you're the analyst, so you're the only person.
The thing is, honestly, when I see PLs play, like you said, they don't want to buy it. I can't tell you what the breaking point is for when you have to. That's the thing, right? Like, I think in this game there's a lot of value because you're playing against double butterfly, but even he is queuing it now. So I think if it was one butterfly, he wouldn't do it.
You talked long enough for him to choose his next item and farm halfway to it. You are a god, actually. Incredible.
No. He just farms really fast. I didn't talk that long.
Yeah, so, that's definitely the case.
So let's say only one of the enemy cores went butter, right? Like the TA or the gyro, but not both. I think it's probably not a good enough value proposition against getting another item. But in this game, he might feel like it's necessary. But it really does say something that he gets in 6th, right? These two butters have been in play for quite a while.
They're going to force the fort at the bottom lane, so... Looks like this is a very even game right now, and I'm not just saying that because it's only a 1k net worth lead for Hellbears, but I mean, we talked about late game, we do favor Nigma, but have to say the Gyrocopter, he is super farm, but he has been getting deleted repeatedly. Does have Satanic now, So he has an extra tankiness layer to him.
That's a big item.
Obviously synergizes with his ag, since even when he's stunned, he will be attacking, getting some lifesteal off at the very least.
Wonder when we're gonna see some more discs come out as well. We have one on Gilger so far, but it feels like a very, very strong item in this game against the Hoodwink combo.
Yeah.
For Nigma. But they're just chilling so far. I gotta say, man, this Axe Hoodwink feels really good as a pairing. The call to set up your sharpshooter, the fact that you break the people that you call, which just makes Axe's team able to pile on way, way easier against a lot of heroes. The lane itself is pretty strong. There's a lot of damage in it. I like it.
Something we didn't mention, but Ace, he got this a while ago, was the Shard, which is the Spirit Lance bounces.
Yep.
And we talked about this at the Major, where some people were not going for this at all.
They
see the
call
call into the LSA, mind control.
Oh
He's deleted as well. He does have buyback, though, 85 seconds. He doesn't want to use it. Almost certainly will have to, though. As you can see, Lina just pounding onto the Ranger Axe. So Hellbear Smashers are the first to get a Rax of any kind. And it's going to be a full sweep in the bot lane. Miracle jumps in, but I don't think he actually wants to do anything further here. Has the Flicker. That's going to be pretty annoying to deal with. That's a set of Rax for Hellbears. Still with buyback here, so... And of course, no fort. Nullifier now picked up a Miracle. Okay. Oh, Rasmus jumps in, but the Yules.
But they do get the buyback.
Yeah, the buyback is there. Now the run-in from Nigma. Can they catch up to anybody is the question. Ace has a homing missile apply, but can obviously just doppelganger away. So they can synergize this with the Ravage potentially, but nope. Can be able to get it off in time. It looks like the retreat will be successful, and there's even a double damage rune for the Lina.
If Smashers didn't stack that Yule plus call, who knows what would have happened to that TA. He does have the 25 talent, so he has a lot of refraction charges. But if PL connects with a lot of illusions, those are removed very quickly, and they could find themselves another big kill. But at the very least, they got the Tide buyback regardless, and they disengaged. And again, it's just this... It's this thing about Nigma's lineup that when Tide isn't there, there's so much freedom for Smashers to do whatever they want. They just get out of there, right? Like, nothing's going to stop them. Okay, going to start poking here with the PL. Nothing much coming from that. And they're going to control this triangle area now. They're just going to hold the high ground. There's no threat of a Roche for a while. Early respawn is in a minute. And this bottom wave will push in. So I reckon as soon as Enigma hero shows bottom, we might see a smoke from Smashers across to the top side. But Nigma are not going to give them that piece of information. They're actually making the move. Going for a big play here.
Ooh. Yeah,
Bora is showing.
Wrap around here. ILTW, he's going to be spotted. The homing missile is already there. Bora Ninja has to be careful because his Yules can now be dispelled thanks to the Nullifier. The Aeon Disc as well for... Who was it that had it? Somebody on Hellbears. Ace, right? Call down is there. Mind Control gets off the Ravage. Is going to connect on a couple of heroes. Into the egg as well. That's the Sunray egg, and Bora Ninja is in a lot of trouble. Gonna get off the Yules for now, but you have to think that he will be the sacrifice at the very least. Gets the Laguna Blade off, but it's only damage in the end. As now Mind Control jumps in again. Gonna pop that Aeon Disc. It looks like they want to fight. The Lina's gonna buy back into the game. The pressure applied to TA, but he's sent back to base thanks to the beautiful relocate from GH, but a choppity chop is enough, and ILTW, as a result of Io not being there anymore, has no save for himself. Kuroki with the dive. It will he? Oh, it's gonna be close. Ace just gets enough damage.
They found Miracle. He has dagger.
GH.
Nice timing.
Miracle. The call is there. Into the bushwhack. Down he goes. Wow. One buyback from Bora and
that was a
frame
perfect Lina stun. That was a frame perfect Lina stun coming out of that Yules. That was super good. I think so. I believe Miracle did have refraction running, so he can blink out of the Yules land, but the stun was just perfect. Didn't get to turn and blink at all, and this should be the game.
Yeah, they can just go throne.
Nigma just never really got their feet off the ground too much in terms of fighting. They had to farm, but they didn't find moves.
Yeah,
we'll try one last-ditch effort to hold here. There's the call.
Rasmus jumps in, and the damage applied again to ILTW is just more than enough. GH cannot save his brother this time around, and he's going to be the death as well. So this will be game one for Hell.